I would like to call this meeting to order and for our town council meeting for May 12th in the town of Edmonston. Miss Avery, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Miss Avery, could you call roll for me, please?
Absolutely. We have
Thank you.
Mayor Tracy Gatt, Councilmember Betsy McCauley,
Here.
Councilmember Sarah Tuberville, Town Administrator Rod Barnes, Interim Police Chief Gibson, Town Attorney Ferguson, and myself, Town Clerk.
All right. And Mr. Johnson is excused due to illness, as well as Miss Hillary Chester, who is traveling.
Yes.
Yeah, into the country, or she's somewhere in the middle. So let's keep her in our thoughts and prayers. And so calling the meeting to order, we're going to stand and for the Pledge of Allegiance and then go into a moment of silence once we finish the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. And at this time, we always take the time for a moment of silence to reflect and to think on those that we'd like to keep in our thoughts. And as I mentioned, let's remember Miss Hillary as she's on travel. And of course, the disturbance that's going on out of our country, and also those dealing with COVID or coronavirus. So let's just take a few moments. Thank you. Thank you all. As we move forward on the agenda, if the council would review the agenda packet of the agenda. I know that we do have one change to the agenda. We want to remove, I need a larger copy. We are going to remove the signage concerning the electrical sign. We're going to remove that. 7D. Thank you. Off of the agenda. And if there aren't any more edits or changes, I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you so much.
Second.
Ms. McCauley, and thank you, Ms. Chester.
Tuberville.
I'm sorry, Ms. Tuberville. Yeah, I'm still thinking and praying for Ms. Chester. All right. So as we move on the agenda, are there any, is there any comments from the public? If there are no public comments, I'd like to move on to our special guest. Mr. Washington, did you come back on?
Yes, yep, I'm here.
Fantastic. We have a legislative update by our Delegate Alonzo Washington, who is our special guest tonight. Mr. Washington, I want to turn it over to yourself or one of your staff members for your presentation.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mayor and council members. Nice to see everybody. I want to just say for the record, I'm Delegate Alonzo Washington. I represent the town of Edmonston in Annapolis every single year. As most folks know, I wanted to first thank you all for your service to Edmonston and our community. It is not easy being a town council person and a mayor of a town, and I know it's a lot of hard work and a lot of sleepless nights. So I just want to thank you all for your service to the community. So So
Thank you.
Absolutely. And we have 7 municipalities in District 22, and I'm making my round to everywhere. And I want to make sure that everyone knows how we're spending your tax dollars in Annapolis and what happened during this legislative session. And so we can actually have a conversation about a brief conversation, Mayor, if you don't mind.
I just want you to name your 7 municipalities, please.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we have Edmonston, who's at the top of that list, obviously.
Of course.
Berwyn Heights,
Great.
Greenbelt, City of New Carrollton, Hyattsville. Did I say Greenbelt already?
You did.
I did say Greenbelt.
Hyattsville, New Carrollton,
New Carrollton.
Greenbelt, Edmonston.
Let me start off with there. Edmonston, Greenbelt, New Carrollton, Hyattsville, Berwyn Heights.
You have University Park.
I have University Park and Riverdale Park. There we go.
And what other park? Oh, Riverdale Park. Right.
Riverdale
There
Park.
you go. I'm on your side. I'm here to help. That's right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. PGCMA, right?
that's right.
Stick together. So all of our 27 municipalities in the county. So first, I just want to say every year the General Assembly meets in Annapolis for 90 days to discuss meaningful legislation and to balance the state's budget. This year, however, was of immense pressure where we had to actually work remotely and first time ever, but it was one that was probably the most transparent and accessible legislative session I've been a part of in my 10 years that I've been a delegate. So, people didn't have to come to Annapolis and find parking for 30 minutes before they could see their legislator. They can just hop on Zoom from their home, from the comforts of their home to speak with us. So it was very accessible. Sam, I have a brief presentation that we're going to show to you all. I prepared some slides. Hope you guys don't get bored. But I thought visuals would be helpful to keep your attention as we're talking about some of these issues. So Sam, can Sam have access to share a screen?
Yeah, I'm just, if someone could give me access to share my screen, that would be great.
Sure, I'm working on that right now, Sam.
I sent a message to Rick and I think
Yeah,
he's on it.
yeah, I didn't know who he was.
Who
Now I
Sam
know.
was. Yes. I'm working on it right now.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, look, I'll talk while he's getting it up. Sam will just pop it up for us. So I do have a presentation for you all and for folks at home and who want to come back and look at this and see how we're using your tax dollars. The first piece that we have the first responsibility as a legislature is the fiduciary responsibility to the state. That's about $52.4 billion. That's our budget every single year. Initial forecast had the state looking very bleak because of the pandemic, but also because of the budget shortfalls that we had. But due to the federal government finally doing something right and stepping up to provide relief to states and municipalities and counties, we're able to fill the gaps where necessary. If you look at our budget, the first piece here you'll see is we allocated $21 billion to expand access to healthcare, mental health services, and COVID relief. That's one of the biggest parts of our budget. The next piece is really important to me, and I'm sure everybody at home, which is our K-12 education and the blueprint for Maryland's future, making sure that this is a large increase from our typical $7 billion that we have in education for K-12 education every year. So this is because of the blueprint for Maryland's future, we're seeing an increase in investment in our local schools. The next you'll see is $7 million to support our colleges and universities, specifically our HBCUs in here. I'll talk a little bit more about that a little later, about how much money we receive for Bowie State University after years of discriminatory practices throughout states' colleges. And we have about $5 billion to continue the Purple Line, and another $1 billion to fight climate change. The state's capital budget also includes about $2 billion in new funding for transportation projects and $850 million for school construction dollars, which is the highest we've ever had. I think you'll notice that we actually are building William Ward Middle School, a brand new school for our children that's way overdue, and about $230 million in housing and $90 million for new libraries. The next piece I want to talk about here is just what do we bring back for District 22 here in our district, right? Like how do we work with our municipalities like Berwyn Heights, like the town of Edmonston, to bring back specific dollars for capital improvement projects here in our area. First was the Berwyn Heights Senior Center we funded, the Hydesville Teen Center, the police station in Hydesville. Also, Hydesville has a lot of things going on there, so they had a long list for us of a downtown Hydesville parking garage, the Greenbelt Station Hiker Biker Trail. We also, which will connect Greenbelt to the metro station finally. In Riverdale Park, we had a few other projects that were in there, as well as Lanham and VFW in Lanham as well, and Doctors Hospital we served. This year, the NED funds, we use those funds to help bring in some money, about $1 million to the mixed use project within the Riverdale Park area too, which is right next to Hydesville and Riverdale, right next to Berwyn Heights. So it all helps us in the long run. Also sponsored legislation this year to permanently fund inside the Beltway communities like Edmonston, that will bring in about $7 million a year, every year, for inside the Beltway communities. So our municipalities, our nonprofits, our inside the Beltway communities can actually apply for this fund every single year. There's a similar fund that's in Baltimore that is called the Bernie Fund. That fund provides a lot of funding for projects inside the Beltway of affordable housing, niche projects that's in there too, and help build thriving communities within the Beltway. So this is unique to Prince George's County and Montgomery County. So this is a big deal for us because the state never really directly funded our projects within our county. The next piece here is we'll talk about is, what can we do? What was the Relief Act? How do we provide funding for the Relief Act? Sam, you can go through all of these. What we did was provide initial fund. We provided $1.5 billion in relief for the entire state of Maryland, which we've never done in the state's history before due to the pandemic. So we can stop layoffs, so we can help make sure that there's more tax credits for low income families, which is the earned income tax credit is the highest tax credit in the state, in the country. So we're making sure that we raise people out of poverty through this earned income tax credit, and we also added pieces in there for unemployment insurance as well. So when people are laid off, they actually have money that can come back to them in a timely fashion. I'm sure you all heard during this pandemic how people were struggling even receiving checks from the state. The General Assembly fixed that, not the governor. The next piece here I want to talk about was the purple line. In this, we talked about what we did was there was discretionary funds that were allocated by the Maryland General Assembly this last year and available for the governor to support struggling businesses along the purple line route. As we see how the route is changing and is blocking access to some of the businesses, we know those businesses are losing out on customers and consumers. And so we created a $2.5 billion fund. It's a mandated appropriation that the governor has to fund for $1 million each year, starting $500,000 this year, $1 million each of the next fiscal years, so that those funds can be allocated to those businesses that need the support while this construction is going on. That's pretty serious because we want to see those businesses bounce back 3 years from now when the purple line actually starts, hopefully. Next slide. So in vaccines, we've been getting a lot of questions about vaccines. Unfortunately, the state, Prince George's County is still ranked below most of the state. We're ranked 17th out of 24 jurisdictions in having received both doses. That's pretty bad. So we want to still encourage people to go get their vaccines. I've gotten the vaccine. I encourage everyone else to receive the vaccine. And it's open to everyone now, and you don't have to make an appointment to go get one. You can walk up to a you can just do walk-ins down. There's one right in Greenbelt nearby where you can go get a vaccine. On the next point I want to discuss, which has been highly discussed in the last year, which is police reform. In the state, we've made some significant changes in police reform. I'm not sure if folks know, or maybe the chief knows this, but I'm also serve the pleasure of the county executive of being the co-chair of the police reform task force here in Prince George's County that made over 50 recommendations to the county executive on how we can reform our particular police department within our county here, which if you watch the news every day, you'll see there's some indiscretion that has occurred within our police department. And so there's a lot of rooted racial issues that has happened within our department, and that needs to stop. The one point I did make in there that was that hopefully the chief approves of this, which is to make sure that the chiefs are collaborating and that the departments are working together, because we have so many police departments within Prince George's County and within our municipalities that many times they aren't training along the side. They're not conducting the same trainings, and so miscommunication happens when they both have to work in the same vein to solve an issue. We've seen it happen in Hydesville, where unfortunately someone died because the different police departments weren't trained the same. So I encourage the new chief and the new department to build better relationships with local municipal police departments. The other piece is that we repealed in the state, however, we repealed the LEOBR, we mandated body cameras throughout the state. We actually made sure that there's on a statute. We're one of 7 states that don't have a statute for use of force law on the books for police officers, which is just crazy that we don't have a firm statute. Now we will have one. And we also we want to make sure that officers have access to mental health services as they do their jobs, because we know mental health is a serious issue within our police department. But there's many other things that we did involving police reforms. Another piece I'll talk about here is the elections. As other states are trying to remove the right to vote or decrease the right to vote and access to vote, we actually expanded the right to vote. I know it's hard to believe because we have so many different days when people can vote here in the state of Maryland, but there's also some obstacles that people face. For instance, we have passed a piece of legislation, which I sponsored, that would increase early voting hours. Instead of starting at 10 a.m. During the week, it will start at 7 a.m. So when you're going to work on early voting, you can stop by before you get to work at 9 a.m. When things become normal again. HB 1048 would also make sure that we have, because everyone's used to having absentee ballots now. What we're saying with this bill is that you no longer have to request an absentee ballot. You'll automatically receive one if you want one. If you put yourself on a permanent absentee ballot list, you will receive one every election. It'll come to you automatically instead of having to request one, which will be good because people just sometimes forget. And so we want to make sure that comes directly to folks too. The other piece on here is redistricting. In Maryland, we have the authority to adopt both the congressional and state legislative district lines. That means me, your state representative, as we have the ability to do that. The governor submits a state legislative redistricting proposal, and the state legislator may pass its own plan by joint resolution. And also the congressional lines are adopted slowly by the legislature and can be vetoed by the governor. If we don't take up the governor's proposal within a certain period of time, then it becomes law. Hello? Mayor, you asking me to stop talking?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I had muted.
No, okay.
No. I'm enjoying this.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm on vacation and we're looking at like maybe 5 to 6 deer just walking outside and climbing up a hill. So my husband and I were checking that out. That's all. Go ahead.
Well,
I'm listening.
Tell Mr. Gann I said hello. The point of me sharing this piece about we just had the census. A lot of things are changing here in the state. we had an increase of a population. So some things are going to change, but very minimal. So it doesn't cause for dramatic changes in our state legislature, but things can change anyway. And so, as we know, there's a lot of gerrymandering. The state was sued on gerrymandering, and it went to the Supreme Court. So I just ask that you follow it and make sure you stay up to date on it, because you can be out of District 22 quick because of the legislature. And that has happened to people in the past, to municipalities in the past. I would love to keep Edmonston, but I can't say that for everyone else or the senator. But I encourage you all to pay attention to where we are and who represents you. The last piece I'll hit on is the blueprint for Maryland's future and investing in education. I think you all know that the pieces of blueprint are early childhood education, high quality and diverse teachers, college and career readiness creating college and career readiness pathways, more resources to ensure all students are successful, including students in poverty and including students with disabilities, and more oversight and accountability. The state sends about $1.8 billion to the county school system, and it should be held to account if we're sending that much money to our school system. We want to make sure that money is used well. So we do have a lot of accountability measures within the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. These are huge. One of the schools that are community schools based on the model that we created for the Blueprint for Maryland's Future is William Ward Middle School. And what that means is they're going to receive upwards to $300,000 every year for a community schools coordinator and to pay for mental and behavioral health specialists for students. And so those are two personnel positions that the state's paying for, as well as additional wraparound resources for students in that school. So we have to hold this school accountable for making sure that students receive the resources that they need in order to excel in a school. It also provides for extra tutoring and extending the class day and class time for students too. So if that's not being taken advantage of, it's because we as residents aren't pressing the school to do it. And we know William Ward Middle School has a lot of challenges, whereas they are about a 90% farm school, which means that's 90% poverty. And so we need to make sure that money is used well. So if we don't do our job on that, that's our problem. William Ward is our middle school. It's going to have a brand new school building, but that doesn't matter if they're not being educated well and if they don't have the resources that they need. Next slide, Slim. And that's it. So I mean, we have about 14 other community schools within our district, and those should be held to account as well, and they will receive the same services if it's all done well. With that said, thank you all for having me. Again, I just wanted to come by and give you a brief presentation on what's happening in the General Assembly and what we can do and what we have done using your tax dollars, and what pieces of legislation that I thought were important to highlight here. So hopefully, I'll take any questions here, but hopefully that was informative and something that you can take home and think about.
Thank you, Delegate. We greatly appreciate you taking the time. And this slide was very informational. And I know that you have been a leader in the educational forum there with our colleges and trying to, I think you actually won as far as tuitions.
Free tuition for community college?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I was the lead sponsor on making that happen here in the county. So the county has free tuition for community college for students. We're sending about 150 new students every year to school for free, based on a scholarship that I helped create. At the state, we also have a program called Promise Scholarship that's also sending another 2,000 students to school for free that otherwise wouldn't have gone to school. We also won another big ticket item here in the county, which is about $5.2 million. Will go to grassroots nonprofit organizations to help expand access to college and two-year community college for students in low income that are first generation college students. So that money will go directly to organizations like First Generation College Bound that actually helped me, a person who grew up in homelessness and poverty, get into college, go to college, and become successful. So for the first time in our state's history, we're actually permanently investing in nonprofits that help kids go to college and kids go get a certificate too.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. That's a big win for me. And I appreciate your time and attention in that area as far as our education. I do thank you for the presentation and all the information that you provided us. And I know that our council members have some questions. I see Ms. Tuberville's hand up, but I thank you also for the work that you've done with our police as far as being on that task force and identifying some areas that needed the attention. Thank you for that. We have a long way to go, but we're closer than we were before, and that's for sure. So thank you for that. I'm going to allow our council members to go ahead, or staff that have any questions or comments. Go ahead, Ms. Tuberville.
Washington, and I too appreciate your leadership on all manner of the things that you just presented to us, particularly on policing reform. I was wondering, I had a follow-up question about the.
I'm sorry, Ms. Tuberville.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I just wanted to say to Delegate Washington that this is Ms. Tuberville's area. She's an attorney. So when she said police reform, this is really right up her alley. So go ahead. My bad.
Yes, it's part of my day job, I guess, is what that is. But I was curious about, actually, on the public education front. What's your assessment about how close we are as a state and as a county to getting to universal pre-K?
Oh, okay. No, that's a turn from police reform. I love it. We are. That's a good question. So what we do have is not universal. Even what we propose is not universal. I think what you mean by universal is free for all students. Pre-K is free for all students, no matter what their background or salary is. It's free for everyone. Unfortunately, the Blueprint for Balanced Future didn't recommend universal. What we recommended was a sliding scale for families who are in poverty, to families who are in middle income. And then I can send it over to you, council member, what that scale looks like. We are not close to what it will be. I think we're the closest for states that are not universal that do not have universal pre-K. We are probably the closest to it, but we have not gotten there yet. So let's say if you make 150, if your family makes over 150,000 a year, you're probably gonna have to pay most of your pre-K.
That's helpful. I was just, it's a question that comes up a lot.
Yeah, we do have a sliding scale, and so if families are low income, they are going for free full day pre-K. If as they get higher in the income scale, it becomes less financial burden. You have to pay more into the system, and so that's how it's worked in the state. So I know that's been a question a lot.
Something I just maybe want to put on your radar. I don't know if there's been any discussion about this, but the 529 plans. I don't think that, just because the cost of childcare is extremely high where we live, as I'm sure you know, and so I was wondering if there had been any thought in at least maybe allowing parents to, if they are not eligible for any, they're beyond the sliding scale because of their income level, that they would at least be able to put some of that money in a 529 plan that they have to then pay to like a private pre-K or something like that for their children.
No, that's definitely a good idea and something we can consider. I know that we do have incentives for 509 plans, and so what I'll do is I'll get whatever we have right now to you. But that's a piece of legislation that we can introduce too. That can be an incentive as well. Absolutely. So that's a good idea.
Well, again, thank you for. I'm fully supportive of everything that you presented this evening, and I'm really grateful for your public service.
Oh, thank you. Grateful for yours too.
Councilmember McCauley, do you have a question?
I have a question that doesn't have to be really answered right now. The
Go ahead.
town, okay, we flood in the town and we got no help from the county, no help from the state. We were told when I was on council many years ago, when we got our first pumping station in, we were told that there would be a second one coming down the road to us. I left the council, back on the council now. There's no talks. Matter of fact, most of the people in the county don't even realize that a second pumping station is supposed to be put in. As I say, when we flooded in Edmonston, we no help at all from the county. And matter of fact, some of the county employees, I believe, were not truthful when they said that they were manning the pumping station. We have videos showing they were not there, but for some reason they got away with saying, "Oh, we were there, we were there." Something I'd like you to look into. One, why haven't we received our second pumping station? Two, why do we flood out again when, we shouldn't have? That pumping station should have been manned. And how come we're always, the forgotten town? We're not getting any help when we do flood out. The county had said they were going to come in and do a couple of things, and our public works and Mr. Barnes, they were out there picking up the remnants of the flood, where we were told that the county would assist us, and I'm sure they did somewhere, but I didn't see it. So I say you don't have to answer that, because I know that that's coming from left field to you, but it's something I'd love to see you look into. And all these millions of dollars are given to Hydesville, Riverdale, and other, towns around here, and we couldn't even help our residents out.
Well, thank you, Councilman, for the question. And like you said, we can talk about it offline and try to figure out how we can provide more resources for Edmonston in those areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. I know that as Ms. McCauley said, that came from left field. But it is something that we tremendously feel. We felt a little neglected, but it'd be great if you could kind of check that out, because we know that with our climate now, can't tell if that'll happen again. So a little attention and, understanding as far as us. And I'll tell you, one of the things I'm trying to do is to ensure that we have a flood task force, because we will not, as far as the homes that are in Edmonston and other municipalities that are the Port Towns community, we won't be able to meet that FEMA threshold, should I say. We won't be able to financially meet that where we can get the resources from FEMA. So I'm looking to start a task force so that we can possibly put money in a bank somewhere in Edmonston and in the county, really in the county. So we can have money there because of disasters, because this climate has really changed. So we're talking about flooding, ice storms, things like that, where our residents will be affected. The town, we put up a lot of money to assist a lot of our residents. And we can't get reimbursed for it in a sense, but there should be some type of funding set aside for things like that. We want to get our residents aware, and we're going to do that in Edmonston, make sure our residents are aware of the programs that the county is offering, rain barrels and things like that. Making sure their gutters are up to par, foundation issues, those things, because one thing's for sure, we have a lot of renters, and not just in Edmonston, but throughout our county, we have a lot of renters that are not kind of covered because of these kind of disasters. So if you could assist us, I think the call is to assist us in a way of ensuring that when these disasters occur, because I know you saw it, you live within
no,
this area.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you elaborating, Mayor and Councilmember. Thank you for bringing this issue up. Mr. Barnes and I, we met on the economic development piece, and part of that led to the National Economic Development Strategic Fund. That's the $7 million that can go for inside the Beltway communities like Edmonston. So Mr. Barnes and I can work together so that we can resolve this issue too. Figuring out what other pieces we can do to so we bring more funding to buy another one of those tanks or whatever happens. So let's get together offline and let's work together. I look forward to it.
And even if you could be a part of creating or assisting in creating that task force, because I think that really needs to happen. Riverdale.
Well, there is one that's being developed right now by Park and Planning that we're looking at for the state. I think one of the delegates have started bringing together the Park and Planning and some other pieces together in the county, as well as Montgomery County, to look at flooding throughout our counties, because a lot of their water runs through our county. And so there's something happening already, Mayor. So let me look into that and see where that piece is. And
Absolutely.
we can move forward on that. So there are some moving pieces right now. There might not be any need for a full task force. It might be, hey, what can we implement and what can we support? Right?
Mm-hmm. And one thing I know, if we're talking about funds, we need to assist the county in saying, this is where you can get the funds, as opposed to saying, we need funds from you, or saying to you, delegate, we need funds. We need to be able to find resources that say, okay, you can get funds from here or you can get funds from there.
No, absolutely. So I just signed a letter today to support the city of Greenbelt for a project that they're looking for funding in other places. Right. So if the town is applying for a grant somewhere, I can send a letter of support, that can help with your application, whether it's at the state or county level. But let's get together and let's talk about this, because I really want to make sure that we make this an issue for the town. So this is great.
Please, yeah. Thank you, Ms. McCulley.
Well, I think one thing that will help us is when we finally get all of our storm drains put in, because we've been told for a couple of years now, our storm drains, if I'm correct, Mr. Barnes, are undersized. And they have said they're coming in to put in new storm drains. And every time I turn around, we get put back on the back burner, and that's not good. That's not going to help us, because we will flood again. Unfortunately, with the weather the way it is, it will happen again.
Yes, thank you, Ms. McCulley, very much. And Delegate Washington, are there any other questions for Delegate? Yes, ma'am, Miss Meg. Come on in, because you're new. I want you to go ahead and talk to him.
Oh, I appreciate that. So Delegate Washington, Mayor Dan, thank you very much. I'm the brand new Executive Director of the Anacostia Trails Heritage Area, which is right in the heart of Hyattsville, right there on Gallatin Street. So I've been just so welcomed and have enjoyed these evening meetings. And so just wanted to also thank you, Delegate Washington, for your support in the past of historic preservation. So your work with the historic tax credit. So I also worked at Preservation Maryland, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, I do. I was looking at you and I was like, man, this person looks really familiar.
Well,
I thought you might have joined the town council. I was excited.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a committee trying to get me to move there. Who knows?
You know it.
I'd be happy to. Yes, my colleagues, Nick Redding and Ellie Cowan, were probably bugging you and your staff about during this digital session. But I'm actually next on the docket, but I just wanted to make sure that the folks here also knew that you were so supportive of this. Stormwater also comes into concepts of housing and place, and how just the physical environment, either makes us happy and healthy or the opposite, and how important it is for us to continue to invest in that. So I just didn't want the opportunity to pass for thanking you for that support and your continued support of the heritage area, which does get funding from Program Open Space, which could always use more. So just didn't want this opportunity to pass.
Nice, you got it. Thank you.
All
I love
right.
that. I love Athos. So looking forward to working with you.
Oh, awesome. We can't wait to, and I think that's what we'll be talking about is getting people out on the trails and you know, we're working on a civil rights trail and a women's suffrage trail. So, we can't wait to get back out and do what we do best, which is connect towns and trails. So can't wait to get back out there. So that's warmer and a little bit safer.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. So the other thing I wanted to mention was the Purple Line. So I went to a Purple Line meeting and they had said that the Purple Line construction had stopped, which I see that it had stopped. So can you just tell me when it started, if it started already or if it's continued? Do you know the progress of the Purple Line?
Mayor, I just had a meeting last week. You were on that meeting too, not last week, maybe a few weeks ago, right after the session, updating folks about the Purple Line. And we
Right.
have the line folks there too.
Mhm.
You know, they are still finalizing contracts and things of that nature right now. So there's no real, if there's a timeline in place, I'll get it over to you. I know there's some meetings happening this week and next week. So I'll get those over to you. But at this moment, I don't have that information for you right now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions for our delegate?
I will
go ahead.
say, look, the reason the Purple Line is slowed down is because of the governor. It's solely his
We
fault.
know it.
It's
We know
solely his
it.
fault, and this thing could have been built a long time ago. And I know it sounds like politics, but you know, we get what we vote for, and what we voted for was this governor. And unfortunately, he does not care about our areas. And so this project has been slowed down significantly. And we have to hold him to account for what he's doing to our communities, which is a disaster area if you go up 410 and through the University of Maryland and through 193, which is poor Black and brown communities. And so, you know, we got to make sure that we hold him accountable for these actions. And almost building that bridge that would have divided the white Riverdale to the Black and brown Riverdale. And so we stopped that from happening. But we can't allow this governor to continue to do the things that he's doing to our communities. So I just wanted to highlight that.
So,
Thank you for being so frank. I like it. I like it. Ms. Tuberville?
I'm just wondering if you could put a little more details on what's going on. Like, what is the disconnect?
Look, I mean, we had he decreased the level of the budget for this project. He ruined what could have happened for the light rail red line in Baltimore City, and he decreased the amount of funding for this project. And so when the new contractor came online, they were already behind in a deficit of how much money they were spending on this project, and not hitting the construction or not implementing the construction fast enough. And so that got us a deficit of about $50 million at one point to $100 million at another point. Mind you, the project costs about $4 billion. So that adds up. And so the former contractor was asking the state to pay $200 million to them to offset some of their costs. And that's because his Maryland Department of Transportation wasn't keeping pace with the work that they were doing. And so therefore it led to a halt in this project, and led to them going to court for this too. And I believe, if my mind serves me right, is that the judge was leaning towards siding with the contractor and not the state of Maryland. And so it was just mishandled from the beginning as this governor came into office. And so there's a lot more to it, obviously, and there's a lot more court cases, but he literally, his Maryland Department of Transportation slowed this project down, and cut the budget, which costs a lot more, which will cost us a lot more money in the long run.
So we're in the middle of another work stoppage?
Correct. Yes. So it is stopped. You'll see it along the line somewhere. Some folks are doing some activities, mostly cleanup work. But if you you'll see it stopped right now. So they're finalizing the contracts for the Purple Line right now. for the contractor. So it's going to be a while. We're going to be through this for a while, which is why that money that we allocated for the small businesses along the corridor, which are mostly immigrant, small businesses, minority, Black-owned businesses along the corridor, those folks are going to be impacted the most. And so they needed the relief, and we provided them the relief of the tune of 2.5 million, but that's only for over a 3-year period. They might need more. Luckily, the unfortunate consequence of the pandemic was that they're able to receive some of the funding from the federal government through PPP loans and through these other places too. But our small businesses are hurting because of this.
Thank you for that.
Yep. I mean, I can be blunt whenever you guys want me to, so invite me back.
I appreciate your frankness because that's important. It's very important.
Tracy will tell you, I'd rather you be blunt, put it all out there, than try to sugarcoat it, because I hate sugarcoating. I just want to put it out there, and it's out there.
Well,
so thank you for that.
That's why her question.
Well, Councilmember, you got me comfortable. So once you get me comfortable,
she does that too. That's why her question came from left field. I was like, oh my God, I did not. But I know how Councilmember McCulley is, and she is concerned about the residents in the town. And this is her, she just won the election. But prior to that, she used to serve on the council as well. So she's always been for the community. So I appreciate your question, Councilmember.
Again, thank you all for your service to our community in Edmonston and our community at large. So it doesn't go unnoticed what you're doing here in this town. And I wanted to come here purposefully to make sure you know that I'm here for you, and I'm willing to get some things done for the town. So
thank you. So we drilled you. So if there's nothing else, anyone else? No more comments to our delegate? Thank you so much for being here tonight. We won't make you suffer and stay here the entire night because I know how busy you are. But thank you for what you're doing in Annapolis. Thank you, Sam, for assisting and helping out with the slides. We greatly appreciate it. And if there's anything that you need us to do for you or to get out any information, please send it to Mr. Barnes. I mean, he's great with that. He'll get that out, that information out. We have an access channel.
Thank you for saying that. So on May 18th, I'm having a state of ours.
Oh my goodness, here he goes. No, go ahead.
Well, this is important for our students and families, right? So on May 18th, I'm having a meeting with the superintendent of schools here in Prince George's County. It's called the State of Our Schools. It's a virtual ice cream social. I'm giving away free ice cream. If you go there and if you register, you'll get a link. You can go to the Hyattsville Yogi Castle, get some ice cream, hop on Zoom. I'll be there doing it through Zoom, but making sure everybody's getting their ice cream. But this opportunity for families to ask questions of the superintendent. What does sermon learning look like? What opportunities of tutoring and extended class time look like for
So what time is that?
That's at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
on the 18th. I'll send you an email, Mayor, so you can get it out to
please.
Cool. Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Mayor. You guys have a good day, okay? See ya.
All right, and let me ask you this one question before you go away. So I have someone that is interested in assisting with, education, school board, those kind of things. Is there anything that I can do? Can I get in touch with you in order to, they want to volunteer? Anything that they can do as far as education. And I mentioned that you are big on education. So is there a connection or anything like that?
Just call my office, Mayor, and we will we'll connect them with someone that can help them out. And we do educate. I'm the chair of the Education Policy Subcommittee.
I know.
Ways and Means, and so they can always volunteer with me to do some education research. And so if they're students, that'd be fantastic because I love working with young people. If they're adults, then we can work with them too, but we can also find opportunities for them as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you. Have a great, fantastic evening.
You too, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, fantastic. I'm trying to find our my next item on the agenda, and I know it's Meg. Meg, so go ahead, introduce yourself
Right.
again, Atha, and give us that update.
Absolutely, happy to. So again, my name is Meg Bacco. I'm the new executive director at Anacostia Trails Heritage Area. We are one of 13 state certified heritage areas, which basically means everything from trails, arts, galleries, historic sites, small businesses, anything that is interesting. The things that we take great pride in, our parks and trails and things like that are within our purview. And our job is really to market it, and we do that through our partnerships with towns like Edmonston, through port towns, and also all the towns up the Route 1 corridor from North Brentwood and Mount Rainier up to Laurel. And so that's really our goal and why that we were created and funded and certified in 2001. So the reason I'm here this evening is Edmonston is part of our district, and you're wonderful members. I don't know if any of you look familiar when I was on the Port Towns meeting, trying to make my circuits. About every April, we send out our membership dues, and that allows towns within our district, including Edmonston, to apply for state grants up to $100,000 for research projects or trail projects, as well as for $50,000 for capital projects. So that could be restoring a building or renovating a building or adaptively reusing it, or trail items as well. And then we also have mini grants up to $5,000. So that's something where if you've got a great idea for an event, and I know we talked about events with the Port Towns folks, and maybe instead of doing one day, we'll do several days, and really try and get people back out on their trails, reconnect people to the place, let them know where the trails connect and how to scoot off and go get a cup of coffee at a local business or a local restaurant. And so that's really why we exist and are here to serve you in that capacity. Of note is last Port Towns Day, just remember APA does hold some of the finances of Port Town Days. And we are going to continue to do that, and that is your money, and it is to be spent at your discretion. And we did discuss instead of doing one day, doing several days in September. So we just wanted to make sure that that was still on the radar. And if we wanted to talk about what those days might look like, maybe there'd be a weekend in each town, or maybe just something going on. So that's kind of why I was, really, I was here to meet Delegate Washington, which was a wonderful surprise. So I was so glad to be able to say hello to him too. So that's the backstory on APA. If you had worked with Aaron Markovich in the past, I'm the new Aaron Markovich, and he wishes everyone well from Connecticut.
Thank you so much, Meg. And it was a pleasure meeting you for the first time during our Port Towns meeting and the information that you provided. And I see Mr. Barnes has his hand up, but I do know that it was a great suggestion by one of our mayors, I think it was Mayor James, that during our Port Towns Day, that we look at splitting it up, and that way we can examine the trails. I thought that was just awesome. So I know that there's a committee that we set up that night. Well, not that night, but they followed the instructions, and Mr. Barnes did follow through as well. So there's a committee set up just for that. So thank you so much for your presentation then and also tonight. Mr. Barnes, I'm going to let you go ahead and make your comment.
Yeah, I was just going to let Meg know that I did send that out, got volunteers back, and so we're ready to move forward with that committee, and I will keep you informed on that, and perhaps you can advise and serve with them as they go about that. Council Member Turberville, who you just met on here tonight, is our representative from Edmonston on that group. So appreciate it. And then Miss Avery Gray, who you also see on here tonight, is working on a mini grant. She's going to be contacting you to talk about the idea and if you think it's a good one and how it can be worked out and get the grant in for submittal. So thank you very much.
That's both great news. Happy to be, useful There's so many things. What I'm always amazed at is on these meetings, how many things you all deal with. And hopefully heritage tourism is one of the fun things. It's events, it's exciting days, and it's connecting with your community. So that's just a bright spot in my job. So Rod obviously knows where to find me. And if anybody has any questions, please let me know and contact me about the grant. But glad to already be connected, and please do reach out.
Meg, I have a question. It's sort of about the walking trails.
Mhm.
How can we get walkers, runners, bicyclists, some like myself who walk dogs, all on the same page?
You mean not running into each other?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, 90% of the people out there are so courteous and so, they're unbelievable. They go out of their way to make room for the runners to come through or the bikes to come through. But then you always have that 10% who, I was clipped by a bicyclist while walking my dog. And it didn't go well for her. But it's getting worse as to whether it's getting better. It seems to be getting worse. I don't know if you have any suggestions.
Sure. Well, I hope you're recovering. I always look both ways, even on a one-way street, because I know bikes go in different directions than, so I always look out for that. It actually was just brought to my attention that MNC PPZ has a bike ranger ambassador program. And so they actually have folks who are paid to go out on bike, and they're both there for information, resources. They keep track of maybe, bad curb cuts or other things in the trails. And they're also that kind of person who might just be, might be there in case something happens. So I can share that information with Rod. I don't know how many people they employ to do that. So hopefully you'll see somebody, and hopefully they're wearing like a bright vest. ATHA has considered doing like a bike ranger program or something like that, just to have more people on the trail. So the other thing we could consider is some lines. I know I live in Baltimore and I walk around Lake Montebello, and they have both traffic and then walk and then bike lanes going in opposite directions. So we can definitely look at that as a trail enhancement. And that would be something that we could work with you all with a mini grant for as well. Maybe just getting some lines on and some education or, something around that. But yeah, everybody should be courteous and also on that line, on the other side of that coin, careful.
We're getting a lot of strollers out there with babies. And
COVID babies.
Yeah, that's what they're hitting the streets already.
Yeah. Well, be careful. And I think there are a couple options for that. So we could certainly try to address that in a couple of different ways.
All right, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCulley. Any other questions, comments? If not, we're glad that you were here tonight, Ms. Megan. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And again, Ms. Turberville is on the committee, and we'll see you soon.
I hope so. Take care.
All right. Thank you. So the next item as we move on is the public hearing for the proposed 2021 and 22 annual budget. I don't know that we have any citizens here, but we're going to wait. If there are any comments, questions, concerns about our proposed budget that has been presented. Cool. If not, the next item is the introduction of our ordinance 2021. Put my glasses on. It's kind of small. 2021 -OR-02 to appropriate and adopt the annual budget for fiscal year 2021-22. At this time, I'll accept a motion from the council for this introduction of the ordinance.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you so
There.
much, Ms. McCully. Sarah, second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Tuberville. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tuberville. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Ms. Tuberville, I need to hear your aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Motion passes for the introduction of the ordinance 2021-OR-02 for our annual budget for the fiscal year of 2021-22. If there is no discussion, we'll move on to our new business, which is the approval of the following minutes. Let me get my, all right. The approval of the following minutes, which is the virtual session meeting minutes for April 14th, the virtual work session meeting for May 4th, the virtual, oh, that's it. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the virtual work session meetings minutes for April 14th and May 4th.
I'll make a motion to also include the, we have.
I'm going to do them section by section because it's so
Okay.
many.
All
But
right.
thank you for that. That's why we had it kind of divided like that.
All right,
Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. McCully. Second, Ms. Tuberville,
Second.
thank you so much. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you so much. The next item is the virtual closed session meeting minutes for April 14th. Also the closed session meeting minutes for April 17th, as well as the regular council meeting minutes for April 14th. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you so much, Ms. McCully. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you so much. Is all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All right, minutes have been approved. Thank you so much. All right, as we move down, the next item is the consideration of contract of employment between the town of Edmonston and Mr. Elliot W. Gibson Sr. as Chief of Police. Everyone has had the opportunity to review the contract that was signed by our police chief. If there are no questions or discussion, I will accept a motion to approve the contract of employment between the town and Mr. Gibson.
I'll make the motion to accept the contract for Chief Gibson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tully. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you so much. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Motion has been approved and we have a contract, a full-time contract for our police chief, Mr. Elliot Gibson. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. So as we move on, I just want to go through the swearing in of Mr. Gibson. So we have no doubt that we have a full-time police chief for the town of Edmonston again. You have done an awesome dive job as our interim police chief. We thank you for all of the incentives, all of the programs that you've already implemented. And we want to go ahead and swear you in tonight, right now. Is that okay with you?
That's fine. Thank you, Mayor.
Very much, very good. All right, please repeat after me. I, Elliot W. Gibson Sr., do solemnly swear
I, Elliot W. Gibson, do solemnly swear
and affirm that I will support and defend
and affirm that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America.
the Constitution of the United States of America.
Chief, could you please raise your right hand?
Like you can see it.
Let's let everyone else see it. There you go. All right. And that I will bear true faith
And that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the state of Maryland
and allegiance to the state of Maryland
and the laws thereof.
and the laws thereof.
And that I will support the charter,
And that I will support the charter,
ordinances, rules, and regulations
ordinances, rules, and regulations
of the town of Edmonston.
of the town of Edmonston.
And I will perform my duties
And I will perform my duty
in accordance with the tenets of the law,
and in accordance with the tenets of the law,
enforcement code of ethics,
enforcement code of ethics,
and I will, to the best of my skill
and I will, to the best of my skill
and judgment,
and judgment,
diligently, faithfully,
diligently, faithfully,
and without prejudice, execute
and without prejudice execute
the office of Chief of Police
the office of Chief of Police
for the town of Edmonston.
for the town of Edmonston.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Thank you,
All
Mayor and
right.
Town Council. I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, Chief. Welcome
Thank you.
aboard.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
It is official. So, thank you. So the purpose of that was to ensure that we have our police chief, who is no longer the interim, but he is the official full-time chief of police for the town of Edmonston. We have been thankful for the service that you've provided as the interim, and we have faith in you as our police chief full-time. Council members, if you unmute, if you have any comments for our chief, I'll accept them now.
Chief, why are you sweating already?
He was sweating.
Stop it. Just stop it.
All right. So what we will do in the future, the very near future, there will be a kind of pomp and circumstance swearing in where the chief can have his family and friends there invited. So we wanted to make this official tonight because he starts full-time tomorrow as our official chief of police. So thank you. Chief, are there any comments you'd like to make?
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank the mayor and members of the town council, as well as staff members, for providing me with the opportunity to serve the residents, business partners, and those who pass through the town of Edmonston. I look forward to serving. I understand we have a lot of work to do. And over this past 5 months that I've been in the town, I have learned a lot about how the town of Edmonston does its business, both past, present, and the things that we have to do as we move forward. So again, I'm just excited about the opportunity and look forward to serve. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. All right, so we can move on. Thank you so much. Glad to have you aboard as our full-time. Very proud of you and the work you've done.
Yes, thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the award of bid for audit services for the 3-year period ending June 30th, 2023, 2023 to the low bidder, Lindsay and Associates, in the amount of $34,200. Lindsay and Associates was the auditors that were we had hired prior to our current auditors. Right now, they are our low bidder, and they did an awesome job prior to our new auditing company. and we'd like to award them the audit services for another 3 years from June 30th to from May 31st to June 30th, 2023. I didn't say that right. From June 29th. Is that correct, Mr. Barnes?
That's
To
correct.
June 30th, 2023. I'll accept a motion. Any one of the two council members can go ahead and motion.
I'll make the motion. If it's a 3-year contract, is it starting this year?
Yes,
June 29th, yeah. June 30th, it'll start, yeah.
they will do the audit for the current fiscal year. That's their first one. Then they'll do 2 more after that.
Okay, I'll just looking at it, kind of.
Right.
Just want to be sure.
Yeah, I read it, yeah.
All right, I'll make the motion.
So we have Ms. McCulley. They were our auditors prior to the auditors that we have now. Both
Yeah,
of them have done an awesome job.
well, I remember them when I was on council before.
Yes,
And
yes.
they were good.
Yes, and Lindsay, they were just a low bidder. So there's no reason for us not to go forward with them.
Right.
So thank you for your motion. Is there a second? Miss Sarah? Where'd she go?
You not hear me? I said second.
Oh, no, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Whoa, Mayor.
Ask a question?
Yes,
I assume that the contract that's going to be entered into is the type that we have used in the past for the town and not the proposal that's been given?
I'm sorry. Mr. Barnes?
I don't know what proposal you're talking about. So on the contract will be the one that you prepared for the last auditors. It will be used for this auditor.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Okay,
Yeah, I don't know of any other contract.
well, there will be one from them, but you're going to use
Okay,
the one that, I'm just confirming that we're going to use the one that the town has already.
correct.
That's all. Because I didn't see.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ferguson. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. All right, the next item is the approval of the installation of digital, oh, I'm sorry, that was taken off. The introduction of ordinance 2021-OR-03 to amend the FY 2021 annual budget. We discussed this and everyone understands the, Ms. McCulley, it is the basic changes that we have to make at the end of the budget for monies that have come in or bills that have to be paid out and moved. So that's why we have to amend the budget. That's all.
All right, gotcha. I'll make that
Gotcha.
motion.
All right, thank you very much. Is there a second? Ms. McCulley, Ms. Tuberville. Oh,
Second.
thank you. All right, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Fantastic. Motion approved. The next item is the police department report. Chief Gibson?
Thank you, Mayor. To the mayor and council, let me say good evening to you. Please accept my police department report for the month of April as submitted. For the month of April, there were no homicides, no forcible rapes, no burglaries, no felony assaults, no auto thefts, no simple assaults. We had 3 thefts, 2 of which were identity theft type events. And 1 was a lawnmower that was taken from a business on 46th Avenue. There were no theft from autos during the month. We had a total of 3 crimes reported during the month of April 2021. With respect to incidentals during the month of April, there were 18 parking tickets written, 23 moving tickets written, 2 traffic arrests, 200 premises checked, 37 traffic stops, 12 traffic impounds, 149 calls for service were answered. And the red light camera program, there were 339 recorded for the month of April. And I just want to say, most of you are aware that we have hired 2 police officers in the past 4 weeks, and they are doing an outstanding job. And we can tell from the activity that has been displayed just over the past 2 weeks. We doubled and tripled a lot of our numbers statistically. And I expect these totals to go up even more as we move into the summer months. So the officers are training. They're going to be training for at least the next 10 weeks or so. So they're going to, learn the city, learn what we expect from them, and we're going to have a good, strong police department representing our residents. With respect to our code compliance during the month of April, there were 3 municipal civil infractions written, 15 violation warning letters, no stop work orders, no vehicles impounded, 43 parking tickets written by our code compliance, 20 home and business inspections, and 15 code violation follow-up. Our inspector, Eric Beal, has been very busy doing the city's business, and he has inspected a lot of automobile establishments as well as apartment and private homes during the month. And he's been very busy, and we expect that activity to continue as we move forward. That concludes my statistical reports for the police department and code enforcement. The mayor's muted.
I'm unmuted at this time. I was trying to give you your opportunity. All right, thank you, Chief. Are there any questions, comments?
Thank you all for what you're doing out there, Chief.
All right, thank you, Betsy. We appreciate it.
You're so thorough. No one has any questions or comments. Well, Miss Betsy did have a comment.
Mayor, if I may, the mayor muted herself. What's wrong with you? Listen, one of the things I had been working on toward the end of April.
I'm sorry, Chief. My husband was running the ice maker and I didn't want to make any noise. That's all.
So it was written. Late in the month, we've been focusing on vehicles failing to stop for pedestrians in that crosswalk that traverses along Kenilworth Avenue, crossing over to the Sunoco gas station. We've written a lot of citations over the past 2 weeks at that specific intersection for cars failing to yield right away. Also, during the month, I proposed that we erect more signage. If you all can see, this is what the sign looks like. And I shared the proposal with Rob, and Rob got the public works representatives to go out and get a couple of signs made. We've since had these signs put up. And if you happen to pass through the intersection, they're much larger than the other signs that have been posted. And all we're trying to do is get those motorists to yield the right-of-way to pedestrians already in the crosswalk. So we're going to continue our enforcement efforts at that intersection, but I just wanted you to know that new signs have been erected advising those who pass through that intersection they have a duty to yield the right-of-way. And if they don't, they can expect to receive a citation. So I just wanted to add that, but that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
That was good. I was glad that you had worked on that so quickly and responded to the request. So hopefully that sign does make a difference, but if not, maybe a lighted or lit sign might help. I think we'll see. So that was good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See how that works out. Your response was great, though. Any other comments? Nope. All right, great. The next item is our town administrator, Mr. Barnes.
I don't have very much, but one of the big things I wanted to do was give kudos to Avery and her first grant that she wrote and was successful with from Keep Maryland Beautiful. She implemented the project hand in, and if you haven't had a chance to go down 46th Avenue, all the way from Decatur to Lafayette, she had, I think there ended up being almost 25 volunteers. Some of the, couple of the businesses helped out. We had the Bladensburg High School ROTC group came down, and Council Member Chester, Mayor Gant, the staff, and we implemented some planters at some locations through the industrial park. We added some trash barrels, and Avery will be putting the hand-in component is going to go on those trash barrels with Keep Edmonston Beautiful, and those barrels will go all down through the street. So hoping that will help with trash pickup. And then the final component is benches that will be installed in 3 different locations. So again, it was really successful. We had a great time. She gathered up a lot of trash and made effort to beautify the industrial area. We'll continue to be working on some other ideas for that. Her next big event that she's working on and we're trying to get organized is our graduation caravan on June 11th. It's a Friday evening at 5 o'clock. We'll go out. We have identified almost 10 students so far. We're still looking for students. Postcard went out this week. If you know somebody that's being promoted from 6th grade or to middle school to high school or graduating high school or college, please let us know. We have 2 college graduates this year so far in our program, so we're very excited about that. 2 high school students and then some middle schoolers, and so be happy about that. We're doing a remote virtual Memorial Day ceremony. Mayor Gant, along with some of our veterans here in town, will be laying a wreath at our park sign in Veterans Park, and then Avery and our wonderful production crew of Rick and Miss Lindsay will be putting together that video to release on Memorial Day, honoring our vets for all the wonderful things that and service that they've given to our country, and certainly remembering those that lost their lives to that effort. If you haven't noticed, today the guys were putting banners down Decatur Street. We now have banners enough to go on all the signpost, lamp post, and so you'll see them on Crittenden and on Decatur. It looks really, really nice. It dressed up the street tremendously. I sent out to you, I implemented a new program with Public Works. I sent out to you the checklist that they turn in to me weekly so that we can keep up with the weeds, the grass, the trash, all of the various things that have come on quickly here in the spring and summer, and so they'll be working on that through the rest of the year. We do host a bike to work site, and I am looking for a volunteer to help with that because I'm going to be out of town that day. But it's May 21st over at the park. I think last time I looked at the roster, there's about 10 folks that have signed up to stop at our stop and pick up their shirt. And we are trying to remain socially distant and handing out environmentally friendly bags with a mask, hand sanitizer, and a box of water. So that is happening on May 21st. And then Mayor, do you want to talk just briefly about your idea for Edmonston Day this year?
Well, I don't know if it's the idea for Edmonston Day. It's the idea not to really have an Edmonston Day because of the pandemic, of course. And we're going to have the graduation caravan. And what we were going to do for Edmonston Day was a parade similar to the caravan. And we were hoping to get more vehicles for the caravan. But I just feel that if we are doing the graduation caravan, which is what date? And then the Edmonston Day is what date? It's all in the same month.
1 week apart, 11th and 19th.
Yeah. It didn't really make sense to do 2 caravans in the same month because I'm feeling that our residents might not know the difference. So why not just put everything into the graduation, go ahead and have the graduation and kind of forego the Edmonston Day. I don't know how the other council members feel about that. Yep.
Yeah, I think doing 2 of them back to back like that, people are going to be scratching their head and ask them.
I got you, Mr. Barnes. And then the other thing was the money that we would spend on our Edmonston Day. Let's take some of that money and go ahead and put it towards our what centennial, Mr. Barnes?
Our centennial celebration.
Yeah, our centennial
100 years.
celebration.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's a way to save. And also, it's not as stressful on our staff and also our community. I'm telling you, they probably wouldn't know the difference between one or the other. So thank you, Ms. McCulley, for your comment and Ms. Turberville for agreeing, right? Thank you.
I have just one other item, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I know all of you commented, and I just want to bring it to everybody else's attention again. We were successful with the Chesapeake Bay Trust to receive a $142,000 grant to build 10 rain gardens on Gallatin Street. We will also incorporate sidewalk on one side of the street when we do that project next year. And the exciting part of that is we are partnering for the first time with the National Audubon Society. So the National Audubon Society is going to be doing the education component, reaching out to the Hispanic community specifically, as that's their forte and their expertise. And so we're very, very excited to bring them on board. And we're hoping that through that activity, we'll identify more spark plugs in that particular area and community to help us be involved here in Edmonston, making it a better place.
Thank you. All right, as we move forward, council members, Councilmember McCulley, do you have anything?
I'm good.
Councilmember Turberville? Fantastic. Well, I don't have anything either. And so, since that is it, everyone has given their report. Ms. Ferguson, did you have any comments?
I do not.
All right. So at this time, I will accept the motion to adjourn our meeting for this evening.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you so much, Ms. McCulley. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Turberville. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Ms. Turberville,
Aye.
thank you. The meeting is adjourned, but I just want to say congratulations, Chief. I'm so glad you're on full time. We are excited about what you're going to do with our police department. Thank you. And thank you, council members, for the support and yeah, your support for our police chief. All right.
Happy to give it.
Everybody say good night, unmute and say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Talk to y'all
Good night,
soon.
all.
Bye.
All right.